Captains, welcome back to the next episode, and in this episode we are having a look at the changes I've made with MegaScenery. We're back in Eglin Field. In the previous video we had Skyforce 3D from Rex installed, and that's what's given us all this coverage of cloud. And to be honest, the coverage of cloud is really extreme today. It is pretty heavy. It looks like there's some sort of thunderstorm, so I can imagine there's going to be winds up there. I've also installed Active Sky Cloud Art and put in the NVIDIA sky colors, and updated them to the HD versions, and enabled them along with the Skyforce. So we've got a multitude of sky things going on, as well as installing the MegaScenery. On my next video, so we're going to fly this one, and then we're going to go to DFW because we know we get very poor frames there. And then in the next video, I'm going to install the GTX ground package, or the GEX, sorry, ground package for airports, as well as the Grand Canyon MegaScenery, and I might even try putting in the Hawaiian MegaScenery just to compare with one that we've already done, because I can disable and enable things. Something else I've done as well is I've gone into my settings and had a little tweak about. So previously I had turned that up to 16, so I've put it down to 8, because originally I think it was on 4. So I've also tweaked out the special effects have gone down to medium, and I've turned off enable bathymetry because that was originally on. I don't know if that does anything for the frames, but it certainly helps with the loading time. I've also disabled the lens flare because, you know, I'm a photographer, and I just realized something. Humans don't get lens flare in their eyes, so you wouldn't, it's only lenses, like camera lenses, that would get a lens flare, so you don't even need that. That's completely irrelevant. And also the quality of the shadow I've sort of made both on high rather than the extreme one, and that's really it, really. There's oh yeah, turn the cloud draw down to 60 again. I keep doing that, but it keeps moving. I'm gonna have to change it in the Active Sky next, I think, just because, you know, it's like, yes, I could put it up to 90, but to be honest, as humans, on again, like, my original thinking is we don't see that far, so it would be kind of silly. So it's on 60. In fact, let's change it in Active Sky, because that's again going to affect it. So if we put that down to 60, and that's that. And I think it cleared up these clouds here a little bit. I can see some blue. I don't know if that's actually happened, but it might take 15 minutes or so. But our frames are like the little tweaks I've done. I don't think have really made that much of a difference. I think we've gained like 5 frames per second. So without further ado, let's see the difference between having a MegaScenery package installed as opposed to what ORBX was doing. Now, just looking around, I don't see any trees, so the MegaScenery package has completely killed all the trees, which I don't know if that's a good idea. You know, it looks kind of barren without the trees. So let's get up in the air. We'll go up a little bit higher and see what we can see, and hopefully it looks good, because if it doesn't look good, I'll be uninstalling it, because there's no point in having something if it doesn't look as real. One thing I have noticed that since I've put the AA to 8 instead of 16 is that there's a little bit of sharpiness here that really wasn't there before, and it's a bit distracting, so I might tweak that again. So flaps up. I'm just going to let it climb for a bit. Obviously it looks very what is that? That looks a lot different as well. I mean, at the moment it just kind of looks a bit pantsy, but once we get up higher, I have a feeling it looks a lot better. But right now I'm not feeling it, to be fair. I am kind of missing all them trees that were in place. I really am. Like even here, like, okay, yeah, that looks a little bit okay, and I know when we're higher it's gonna look even better. This looks better already. I do prefer this stretch here much better actually than the trees and the textures that were laid down. I think it's just a case of the placement of this stuff here, because this looks good. I like that. This looks good, but it's just what was behind us doesn't. So I don't know. It's a shame you can't have the best of both worlds, really. Like a little bit of each. Right, let's. I think they do recommend flying at like 3,000. I'll tell you what. We will, rather than land at this airport, we will just fly around and come back and land at this one. And then that will give us a good idea. So we'll just do a flyover. And that way, if we can get up to like 3,000 feet by then, at least we'll have a good idea then. Because see, that does look okay. That's acceptable, but I do miss them trees that stuck out. I think if you're flying in a 737, see, that's a little bit right there. If you're, oh, I like that on the water though. If you're flying in a 737, you really, I think perhaps, yeah, these textures you're really going to benefit from. But I've got to find a way to put buildings in as well, you know. So let's turn over this way a bit, because this is where the runway we would land at. It does, like, look at that down there. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it looked a lot better when ORBX was handling it. The frame rate for me, I think, is just about 5 frames better. I think in a different aircraft, I'd probably think this would look better, you know. But in the aircraft I've got, you know, there are some trees down by the runway. I suppose airports will still have their trees in place. I don't know why it kills the speed trees, you know. Oh, well, what's happened there? Let's get a bit misty here. Bit of bad weather in here. So coming over the island now. See, that does look okay, you know. That is acceptable, I suppose. I love the water. For what sakes. That is. I don't know if I'm buying this or not. You know. From a height it's fine, but we From up high, it looks fine. You know. You know, you can use geographical places and that. It has saved some frame rates, but when I get down to it, I just don't know if I'm feeling it. I think I miss my trees. I mean, maybe just in America this would be okay. And then I've got, yeah, that's probably the best way to think about it, is I have a VFR country to fly over, and then I've got a IFR country to fly over. So if I wanted to fly VFR with, I'll tell you, the weather looks ace out there. If I wanted to fly VFR using this map here, I could at like 10,000 feet and above, and this would look really good. You know, it would look really good, but then if I wanted to do stuff that was low, like in a Cessna, then I've still got countries where that is possible, you know. Because that's better. That does look good, you know. It's just a shame these trees aren't in it for the long haul, you know. It's a shame that there's not actual trees there. That's the only issue. Right, we need to start thinking about coming down here. We're going to be landing. That looks good. And there are a few buildings. See, how is it that there's these buildings, but then there's not others? I think in places like Dallas, this would really help. You know, big airports, it would really help. But in other places, I'm not too sure if it would. A bit faster. Some big runways here. Didn't realize the runway was this long. This airport. Tell you one thing I haven't actually put in, which maybe I should before we continue, which is elevation correct or photo textured from the MegaScenery website for DFW and Florida. I think maybe I should put them in. And then maybe we'll get some more realistic looking airport stuff, you know? Okay. Because, yeah, looking out the window on your side, the trees look okay, and there's actual roads. These roads are really how they are, you know? It's just a shame that there's no buildings. That's the only thing. Okay, here we go. Coming in now. So, yeah, see, when you get down here, it's all just too flat. It's like, wow, we landed on the moon or something. There's no trees in the buildings, whereas before we had trees lining this, and it looked pretty cool, you know. It's lost that cool factor a little bit. Tell you what, let's end this scenario, and we're gonna head over to DFW. But before we do, we're gonna go to scenery, and oh hello. I added in. Where is it gone? Oh, here they are. Okay. Below land class. Right. Okay. I'm gonna add in now the add-ons. Here we are. Photo aligned airport. So if we go for Texas, put that in, and then I might as well do Florida. Might as well do all of them, to be honest. And then we go back to this one, and then just see, we can see the difference. Florida. I think it's not going to take effect until I restart not only the simulator but the computer itself. I have a feeling. So I've got Hawaii as well, so I'll put that in there just in case. So this might take a little bit of time now. So these are free little packages that MegaSceneryEarth offer you when you, I mean, they're free even if you don't purchase, but they're free to just download and install in, and it puts in photoreal textured airports. So when you go and land at an airport, it doesn't look too cartoony, evidently. It looks, and it blends in with the surrounding countryside. Now that's one thing I have found in the past. When I was flying into DFW, you could clearly see where the airport was sitting, and it was a completely different color to the surrounding land. And Texas is probably going to be one of the states that benefits the most from MegaScenery, simply because it's a flat layout anyway. There is no real terrain. Yes, there's buildings, yes, there's this and that, but that's about it really. So right, load in. Another thing I have noticed as well, and this happened before MegaScenery, this happened more than when I put in Rex Skyforce, is that the loading times were happening a bit quicker. It's still a bit of a load, but it's not as slow as it was before. And with MegaScenery, I don't know if it loads slower or quicker on the first go as opposed to the second. Maybe we should have gone back to Eglin, but I just feel that we need to go to the DFW one first. Okay, we are back again. We are on the runway, and obviously this is exactly how we left it with the last time we were here. It hasn't changed one bit, to be honest, because there were really no trees or anything like that when we were here. The taxiing, the jetways, the runway, all still looks the same. So let's take off. Frame wise, we're increased by about 5, so it's the same kind of boost here that it was in Florida. Plane is still swerving all over the place. Sky looks okay. Maybe we might even see some rain or thunderstorm, who knows. Airport is looking okay. We are going mental down the runway. I think we better take off here. Okay, let's go. Whoa. Whoa. Holy horsey. Okay. So, looking at the textures on the ground, they do kind of look a little bit funkier than they did before. We are getting a better frame rate though. The grass is different, granted, give you that. It's a lot different, the grass. In fact, the taxiways are colored as well, a different color, which is a bit strange. We're going to do another pass here, get some height here, and we're going to do a swerve around the airport again. I mean, the thing with this sort of terrain is it never looks good at this altitude. You know, it's it only ever looks good from like 2,000–3,000 feet and above. So we want to try and get as much height as we can without stalling, and then we can have a look and see what it looks like. At the moment, it's really windy, so like over there is not too bad. There's a few buildings. You know, it is what it is. You know, I don't know why it doesn't look as good. But then again, you know, we are close to the ground. We're only like 1,400 feet off the ground. So really, we should be double this height. I think they recommend 2,000 feet. But they have said that you could fly as low as 500 and still enjoy it. But I don't know. Yeah, that's okay now. There's bridges at least, you know. So you could follow the motorway here, down. I mean, this is actually what it looks like, you know. And it matches with the water there, you know. So, right. Let's do a turn around now. Gain some height. Still got Dallas on the horizon there, so that's okay, that's cool. Buildings of Dallas, the city. So we haven't lost that, which is good. It blends in. Yeah, this looks a lot better. The airport does. In fact, this looks a little bit more real than it did before, I think. This has definitely benefited, yes. That looks a load better than an ORBX. MegaScenery in Texas is definitely worth it. Oh yeah, though, there's a star there on that building. I mean, even at this height, they look like they have 3Dness to it, with the shadows and that. This looks a lot better. Let's see if we get some more height and see what it looks like at like 3,000, maybe 4,000 feet. It's really windy. I can't tell you how windy it is. Get some real height here. Push this sucker. Yeah, I think MegaScenery works in the flatter states where the terrain is flat anyway. If you've got terrain that's loads of hills and bumps and everything, it ain't gonna happen really. You know, it's you're gonna need the ORBX global base in there and the region in there. But for the frames we've saved, which at the moment ain't much. But I'll tell you what, actually, let's do a little test here. There is something I've been thinking that I've been sort of wondering, and that's the resolution here. I just want to try what would happen if I lowered that resolution. What would happen? Frames really haven't gone higher. Oh, they have a little bit. Yeah, they have increased actually. But the look of the simulator still looks the same, to be honest. I can't actually see what difference it's made. My gosh. Yeah. But we have increased our frames, so maybe I should just leave that then. So if I put it back, let's see. We're clocking about 30 frames right now, so if I was to put that back up to, in fact, let's put it up to top, you know. Oh, our frames pretty much okay. It is a little bit sharper, to be fair. Things do look a bit sharper. Yeah, I mean the texture on this plane makes no real difference, but it's the texture down here. It does add this level of realism now. But what if I was to put it at my native resolution, which for the TV or the card is that. Yeah, that's de-sharpened it a little bit. I think we're gonna go with the top one. That one. Because that actually does add, yeah, detail to it. And the frame rate is exactly the same. So, right, let's turn around and let's land this sucker. And see what we look like, because we are just over 3,000 feet now. Coming, oh gosh, we haven't given ourselves a hell of a lot of right, let's cut that off. Put the flaps up straight away. We're going way too fast, but we've got a long runway, so I think we'll be okay. Let's just see what it looks like here. If we can get down. That was a rough one. Why isn't it turning? The wind's knocking me. That's what it's happening. Right, that'll do. So yeah, I think MegaScenery looks definitely better in Texas than it did in Florida. But, oh, we crashed it. But Florida did look good, I think. I didn't really clock the frames in that when we landed, so we're going to have to go back and have a look at the frames when we actually hit into the airport. So yeah, I think there's some tweaking yet to do still with the my sliders and still, but the frames are getting better. Mega Scenery is definitely worth it on the flat country. So there's a lot of flat countries in America. I'll be very interested in the next video when I put in the Grand Canyon and Hawaii, because they're places we've flown before, and I'm looking forward to that one. But until next time, thank you very much. Now again, leave your comments down below to where you'd like to see me fly. I've got quite a lot of scenery yet still to put in. I've got stuff like massive cities like Miami, New York, Las Vegas. I've got hot countries, La Palma, Napoli, Barbados. I've got cold countries like Antarctica. Where would you like to see the C-152 fly? Leave your comments. I'm loving the feedback, guys. I'm quite touched at the feedback that's coming in, and I'll see you next week, guys. Take care. All right then. Keep it flying. Bye.